Oh yeah. Five star. LSU. I said they ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU, huh? They ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU. We the best in the league if you looking for talent. LSU going hard, but we beat Alabama, then we going out to Florida. Drown the Gators, everybody getting bucked when we step in the stadium. This the LSU anthem, you know it's a hit. You don't know another rapper two-step like this. See me screaming out the window, yelling purple and gold. I'm an LSU fan, girl, you know how we roll now. Back and back it on up. Hey, back and back it on up. Hey, back and back it on up. Hey, back and back it on up. Hey.
Yes, oh yes, oh yes. We got a good one for you, fellas. We got a good one. Ant, we got him here for the entire show. Ant, we really appreciate you joining in.
Go ahead and introduce
yourself, man.
Hey, how is everybody doing? My name's Ant Marshall. I'm from Monroe. 3-1 Greats in the building. I appreciate y'all for having me in here tonight.
Absolutely, man. We're glad to have you on. We're glad to have you on. Look, we're going to talk some baseball. We're going to talk some basketball. And look, we got to discuss this Frank Wilson thing a little bit. But let's get right into it, guys. Baseball. Whew. Yes. Yes. You got to love it. The baseball walks it off. Jordan Thompson on an absolute moonshot in the 11th to win the game 5-4. Zach, I know you weren't able to watch as much of it tonight, but, I mean, work through the game, you know, what you could watch and what you saw today from Blake Money and the Tigers in general.
Yeah, so what I did get to watch, I got to see the K. Doty homer, which was awesome because the offense seemed like it had stalled. It seemed like they really weren't going to get much going. To me, it felt like LSU wasn't going to be able to get a win today against Oklahoma. Help me out, Reagan, the name of the starting pitcher. I didn't keep up with much. I was at work, but I had to I had to figure out his name because the dude was just killing us. I mean, he was keeping us off the base pads. I think the first guy that got on base was Jack Merrifield. He had a single, I believe, and it was kind of late in the game. What was his name, Reagan?
I believe his name was Bennett.
Bennett. Bennett. I mean, the dude
he played incredible.
The dude was locking us down offensively and just pitching really well. Blake Money had a pretty good game too. I know that's going to get overlooked a little bit because of how good the game for the Oklahoma pitcher had. But, you know, finally K. Doty comes through. He hits the 2-run bomb. He ties it up. And you're like, okay, maybe this is the push we needed. You know, let's get out of this inning. Let's get to the bottom of the ninth. And, you know, let's scratch a run through and let's get out of this game. Unfortunately, it had to go to extras. And I hate it because we've had terrible connection here at our house. That's why I'm downstairs. I wasn't able to get to see the walk-off, so I am completely upset about that. I didn't get to see it live. Luckily, Reagan sent me the video, and oh my gosh, the dude he torched it. And to drop the bat, and just walk, it was fantastic. Way to end the game. You definitely have to be happy for LSU getting the win here. You know, obviously going to the next game against the number one team in the country is going to be a huge test, and so you had to have a win here.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that the fact that this team found a way to fight back and claw back and find a way to get a win shows what kind of team this is, and shows that they are a resilient team, that they can, you know, that they can find a way to win whenever the bats aren't going as good as they need to be. Whenever you got 3 errors and, you know, you make some plays that you aren't accustomed to making, you still can find a way to win, even if it does take extras. And that's the merit of a championship team, you know, to be able to find a way to win like that. And I saw what somebody in the comments said, we have trouble hitting left-handed pitching right now. And I think we saw Jake Johnson try to. Yeah, my boy Patton said, Peyton,
we got to get it right.
Peyton. My boy Peyton said, we can't hit left-handed pitching, and I think we saw Jake Johnson try try to maneuver the lineup a little bit to try to find a way to get some bats on some of the left-handed pitching. When you take Joe Barry out the game for Drew Bianco, you trying to get some of that left on right-handed batting situations in there, but some of those still didn't ended up winding out in hits for us. So I think, like Peyton said, that's something that we got to try to work on as the season goes on. But it's still a short season so far. We still have a long way to go. So this right here was just another example of what we're going to see later down the road, these kind of close games like this. So being able to find a win is a good testament for us so far.
Yeah, no question. No question. I want to back up just a little bit to Wednesday night. I know we want to talk about what just happened because it was incredible, no doubt. But look, the Tigers played a good New Orleans baseball team. Blake Dean and his team, they know how to hit, and we kept them in check. And our offense got going, and we won that game 11-3. And it was really a special night just in Baton Rouge because you had Paul Maneri and Skip Bertman there. They were sitting in the stands together watching the ball game. Blake Dean is coaching the opponent's team, and obviously you're playing in Alex Box Stadium against the Tigers. It was just a really good night for LSU baseball in general to be able to see that. In some of Paul's closing statements when he had announced his retirement and stuff, he said he's going to be enjoying staying in Baton Rouge and watching games with Skip. And I was really looking forward this year to seeing that, and it was awesome to see that, especially the night when Blake Dean was in town. Just a really special night. But look, Tigers took care of business, right? That's the thing that matters. And man, and you hit it on the head. The Tigers showed fight tonight. They showed grit, and they showed that they can battle back in tough situations. I mean, you didn't score until the 6th inning. You did not score until the 6th inning. Your first run scratches across. You get a double from Doty to open the inning off, and then you have back-to-back outs, and you can't even advance the runner. And finally, Dugas scratches him across, and it feels like, okay, maybe we can do something. Of course, Zach alluded to the 2-run home run, which was, oh my gosh. K. Doty was clutch all night. I mean, he literally came up clutch the entire night. He hit the double to kind of get us rolling offensively. He hit the 2-run home run to tie it up. He hit the double down the line to bring in Trey Morgan to tie the game up in the 10th. When you were down to your last strike, 2 outs, 2 strikes, K. Doty comes up clutch and hits the ball down the line.
Reagan Thompson had
clutch.
a great game, obviously with the walk-off, but I mean, game MVP definitely has to go to K. Doty.
It's K. Doty. There's no question it's K. Doty.
Easily.
I mean, what did he go, like 3 for 5 or
he had 3 RBIs.
Yeah, and of course, 3 RBIs as well. And I mean, man, just absolutely clutch. I do want to talk about Blake a little bit, Blake Money. Like you said, Zach, the Oklahoma pitcher, man, hats off to him. I mean, he absolutely shut us down completely. We could not figure him out. And honestly, I was surprised when they pulled him because the dude wasn't even at 90 pitches yet. But Blake comes out and he continues to do what he did. He did allow a run, his first earned run, right, on the home run. But it came off of when Oklahoma was at 2 outs. It was a full count, and he was darn near out of that inning. And he gave up the swing. The dude went home run. It was like number 7. I forget his name on Oklahoma. But you hate that happened, but he still was efficient, guys. I mean, with this type of lineup, and we held Oklahoma with Blake Money pitching to 1 run. And then the other guys were the ones who allowed the other 3 runs after Blake. But the lineup that we have, if he's going to pitch like that and only allow 1, 2, none on any given Friday night, you like your chances with the lineup that we had. You just faced another really good pitcher tonight that kept you in check. So I do want to get into that a little bit. Peyton had thrown up. We've started off to struggle against left-handed pitchers. Did you like the moves that he made and with Bianco? I mean, did you like that? I mean, Joe Bear has been our hottest hitter, man.
Yeah.
Has been absolutely killer all year. And you bring a guy off the bench who really hasn't been in much. We love Drew Bianco, obviously, but in my opinion, I just don't know if I was all for it.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. I don't necessarily know if taking Joe Barry out is the right decision, especially like you say, since he's been our best hitter so far, and Bianco's hasn't really shown us much at the plate yet. And considering it didn't pay off either, it's easy to look back in hindsight and question it even more. But I'll take the optimism side of it. You know, that's kind of rare for me. But I'll take the optimism side of it and say that we kind of know what Joe Barry is so far. You know, he's kind of shown us that he can be that consistent power hitter in the lineup. So getting Drew Bianco some at bats in a pressure situation like that could help pay dividends down the road when we get to conference play, because you know he's been in kind of those situations. He's kind of more battle tested, and Jay Johnson can know if he can trust him not in those situations. So I think if you look down the long road, these at bats are going to come in handy for Drew Bianco whenever he's in these situations again. And the fact that we got to win, you know, I'm okay with it. But if we would have lost, if we would have lost, I probably would have been, you know, second guessing a little more. But but I do agree with you that it's tough taking Joe Barry out. But I think I'm gonna take the long-term approach and look at it like, you know, we're just getting guys reps who might need an SEC play.
And by no means am I questioning Jay Johnson's coaching ability. I just don't know if that was the correct move at the right time. We know that he's an offensive coach, and he's going to try things that we're not maybe used to seeing in the past, right? I mean, this is a new year, new coach, and he's got pieces that he can use every now and then. The one that I can be okay with the Bianco one, but look, Jack Merrifield has been producing down at the bottom of the lineup.
Peterson.
And I really don't know about pulling him for the freshman. I love Jack's defense over at third more than I like Barry's defense at third. That's not a knock on him, but dude, Merrifield was the national junior college defensive player of the year. And I mean, he's kind of showed a time or two. I know he committed an error today, but I mean, he's been producing. His defense is good. Leave him there, in my opinion. I wouldn't put a freshman in that position.
I know Ant's been really high on Jack Merrifield, especially early in the season. Ant, so what's been your take on Jack early this season?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't expecting him to come in to be this big of a contributor. You know, I thought that he was gonna have to kind of ease his way in, but he's shown that he's not only capable in the field, but he's had some timely hits and came up clutch a couple times so far in the season. So I think that he's been a real gem for us and been a shock and a pleasant surprise for Jay Johnson. And I agree with you. It's kind of tough to put in a freshman there, but I think that goes back to one of them situations where they were trying to they had a right-handed pitcher in, they were trying to get a left-handed batter up there for, you know, kind of but looking back in hindsight, I think you kind of got to go with the hot hand there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even and that goes same situation with the Joe Barry. You know, pulling Joe Barry, you got to kind of keep the hot hand going there. But I got a question for y'all, if that's all right.
Absolutely. Shoot,
go for it.
Since tomorrow you're facing the number one team in the nation, and you used up 6-7 arms tonight, how do you approach tomorrow? Do you exhaust all your arms to try to go for a win, or do you kind of just, you know, try to make sure all your guys, you know, stay healthy and kind of don't want to overexalt anybody?
You got it, Zach. Go ahead first, and I'll follow it
up. Well, for sure. I mean, you got to hope that Mikael can go a long way. That's obviously the first hope, and you ride him as long as you can. You know, if he gets in an inning or two where he's having to work himself around, you know, batters and guys on base, I think you have to let it ride because you exhausted a lot of arms tonight. You know, if he gives up, you know, like one or two in the inning and here or there, it really depends, in my opinion, on how your offense is doing. You know, if your offense is producing a lot, and you don't need to pull him, then don't pull him. And I think that's where we're going to see Jason Kelly really come in. We're going to see, because there were so many arms exhausted here in game one, it's going to be interesting to see how Jason Kelly handles the staff. So that's something that we haven't gotten to see as much here early on in the season. And now here in a critical weekend series, you're going to get to see how Jason Kelly is going to handle that. So really just my response to that would be ride Ma'Khel Hilliard as long as you can. And then if you can't, then exhaust more arms. And if you take down Texas because you exhausted arms and then you take an L to Baylor on Sunday, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
You win the series, you beat the number one team in the country, and then, obviously people would understand, losing to Baylor. And then, of course, obviously, if you exhaust arms in game two as well, then you just got to hope that in game three, Ty Floyd goes a long way. So there's a lot of different scenarios with that, Ant. But I think really the main answer is just ride Ma'Khel as long as you can.
Look, I don't know if y'all noticed or not tonight, but Ma'Khel was warming up at one point in time.
Yeah, that's kind of why I asked, because he was, already
he was warming up at one time. So they were sold on trying to win this game at all costs. And I mean, I'm glad that we didn't have to bring Ma'Khel in.
Yeah.
But I like the mentality. I kind of like it. You got to love the we've got to win today type of mentality, right? Like, we'll worry about tomorrow. We're going to win today, right? Even if that means we're putting out our starting pitcher tomorrow. I kind of like what Zach said there. I mean, if your offense is clicking, you really got to rely on Ma'Khel. I mean, if your offense gets going early and puts some runs up on the board, yeah, you lean on Ma'Khel to get you 5 innings. Now, here's the thing, though. We did use a lot of arms tonight, but guys like Riley Cooper, Trey Schaefer, Bryce Collins. There's one more I was thinking of that it just slipped my mind.
Oh, Reiselman.
That's the one I was thinking of. Those guys, I mean, if absolutely need to, can pitch for you tomorrow. I mean, they only pitched a handful of pitches. I mean, guys like maybe Fontenot, Trent Ventmeyer, those type of guys, they may have been spent. But Bryce Collins, those guys, you can utilize them if need be tomorrow. But I love the mentality that they came in with to be like, no matter what, we're winning this thing. Yeah. All right, let's get to some comments. But look, guys, it was a great start to Houston, right?
Definitely.
I mean,
for sure.
You came here to win, and you beat Oklahoma. This is your first Power 5 team, and you got in there and you won the game. You did what it took to win the game, and you got to love it.
And
great momentum.
To that comment, I think something that I love what Paul Maneri did whenever he had his teams was 24 hours. Win or lose, take the 24 hours, and then it's a completely new ball game. You got to do that. You can't allow the momentum and the high of getting this win and it being a walk-off. You can't allow that to affect you in game 2 against Texas, because a game like this can definitely affect you negatively against the number one team in the country when you face them tomorrow. So, sleep on it, enjoy the win, and then come back tomorrow ready to fight.
Yeah. And sorry, I just draw a blank, y'all. But let's get to some comments here. Oh, I was going to say the Jordan Thompson thing to cap it off was incredible. I mean, dude dropped the bat, and I was like, he's that dude right now, right? He was the hero of the night. Let's get to some comments here. I see them popping up, and then we'll transition here. Zach Efron looked like he ready for church.
That's our tech guy, man. Our
Bobby
tech guy's
Watts.
even getting me in the background, Bobby. You get out of here,
Our
man.
moderator getting on him.
We're going to fire
Adrian,
you.
yes, it is. Private school money we see.
Private school.
Hey, we wasn't no private school, AD. We was public.
He's hitting on Ant. That's
we
Ant Reagan.
Ant's private school.
He's getting on Ant. I know you're not in the space as much, Reagan, but they get on Ant all the time.
Yeah, man.
About him being private school.
Private school. Look, shout out to Thompson. That's a confidence builder, no doubt, dude. I mean,
definitely. Great
When he dropped
momentum
the
going
bat,
into tomorrow.
I kind of lost my mind for a minute when he dropped the bat. I'm not gonna lie, I lost it. I mean, I thought about opening the show with a screaming match with my microphone. I mean, after that, adrenaline running through my veins. That was absolutely awesome. Show us the shirt. I think, yeah, there's a nice little button polo. You can support the Tigers while headed to Sunday morning church, right?
That's true.
Got the Trey Morgan. Trey Morgan.
There you go,
stretch,
Trey
man.
Morgan. Got to support the team. All right, guys. Look, great start to the series. Let's move here from the diamond to the hardwood. Tough game. Late Wednesday night in Bud Walton.
Do we have to talk about it?
Really,
have to talk about it?
we got to talk about it because I got some things to say, but I'm gonna let y'all say it first, okay? I'm gonna let y'all give your piece first about this game, and then I might light a fire under a few SEC officials. I might do it. All right, Zach, give us your thoughts on Wednesday night's game.
Okay, so obviously I'll let Ant and Reagan sort out the fouls and everybody. Everybody's talked about that. My problem is LSU. The fouls that were warranted, you can't foul that much. If you take away, I think there's 3 to 4 fouls that you count that were bad calls in the game, and they were big calls. They were massive calls, but there were 20 other fouls in the game, 21, 22 other fouls in the game that were unnecessary. Now, some of that's just playing basketball, but there were a lot of fouls that were just unnecessary and put players in the position that they were to foul out. Now, some of those fouls that they got in fouling out were bad calls by the refs. But as we've said, LSU has continually had the problem of not being disciplined with fouling. Yes, there are bad calls that the refs make, and they're extremely frustrating, and they make us very mad. But LSU as a team fouls way too much. They foul way too much. In fact, in SEC games, they have fouled SEC opponents 20-plus times. They're averaging that in the SEC, and they are putting teams at the line 25-plus times a game. So that's my biggest critique of this game outside of the terrible calls. And like I said, I'll let y'all get into that. But LSU has to stop fouling. I thought overall that they played pretty well. Offensively, they played better. They put up over 70 points. There was a lot of meat left on the bone, though, from this game. And there's a lot you still have to clean up. The problem is it's continually been a problem throughout SEC play. You've continued to see the same problems. And Adrian Perkins, draw a charge. Williams from Archie got it. Yeah.
Reach it.
So I'll let y'all get into that because I'll lose it if I talk about the calls that, in my opinion, were missed or not made correctly. But in overall, I think LSU, they could have won this game outside of the bad calls. You cannot let referees affect the outcome of the game because obviously it's going to make the fan base go berserk. But if you're a sound and disciplined team, then you're not going to allow the refs to affect this game. And unfortunately, they did.
Hey, let me answer the comment right there real quick, Pooh Bear. The hat is back, by the way. You got to love it. It's fresh to death. Yeah, the hat is a one-size-fits-all. It stretches.
That man going fishing.
It stretches. Boy, I got to hit the lake. Keep the sun out my eyes. It's got a little thing on the back here. Even if your head's a little small, you can cinch it up. It's stretchy. It's great material. Pooh Bear, you can go on Lids and find one, or Fanatics.
I need to give me one of them.
There you go.
But back to the Arkansas game. I think Pooh Bear said it best in the comments. One of Will Wade's best games was ruined by one of the SEC officials' worst games.
Yeah.
Will Wade had a great game plan.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I've criticized him a lot about this season. LSU made their free throw, something I criticized them a lot about this season. My one criticism is going to be Xavier Pinson. You can't go 5 for 21, I believe, or something like that. You can't do that. Not in a game that's that close, that's decided by one possession. you can't shoot yourself out of a game like that whenever your point guard is making those kind of decisions.
Yeah.
You had days was actually getting on the block, getting in the paint, kind of scoring that way. He wasn't just settling for threes. You had Tari Eason being Tari Eason, except for those few times when the Oscar-winning Williams, sold it to the referees.
I love it.
Jeez.
But you had a great game plan from Will Wade, and I mean it worked, and essentially it worked. You had a one possession game with the ball. You probably should have called a timeout there and drew up a better play than what you got. But referees aside, Will Wade did everything he was supposed to do to put his team in a position to win the game. And sometimes the players just got to make the plays, and it just didn't happen that night. And look for the Alabama, who coming off a big loss,
Yep.
can you rebound from a tough loss like this and get back up for a must-win game tomorrow? This is whenever that leadership from Days and Pinson is going to really come into play to kind of get this team back off the mat, off that tough loss, and ready for that game, early morning game at that tomorrow against. But Greg, and I'll let you go ahead and have your manifesto against the referees.
This is going to be a Reagan rant.
You were right about Pinson. He was 5 for 21.
5 for 21
from three, or excuse me, from his field goals. He was 0 for 7 from behind the arc.
And AD came in. He mentioned that's less than 25%.
I mean, that is brutal.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can't do that in conference games.
No, you can't. You can't. I mean, you just can't. But let's get something straight here. All right, let's get something straight here. LSU did everything they absolutely needed to do to win that ball game. They did everything. They scored 76 points in this game. It was an incredible effort. And what Ben Brandon told us in last episode, he said when Darius Days averages 15 points or more against Arkansas, they have beaten Arkansas every single time. And the times that we lost to Arkansas, he averaged, I think, like less than 3 points a game. Darius Days had 19 points in this game. Tari Eason had 24 points in this game. And even though Pinson did have some bad shooting, he put up 12 points. These guys fought their tails off in a stadium that was absolutely full, screaming the dumbest chant in all of college sports, the Woo Pig Suey. You are literally calling pigs home, and they won that game, and the referees took it from them. The 3 charge calls were absolutely absurd, and I am about sick and tired of the referees screwing people over. I mean, when it comes to the point that you referees are affecting the outcome of the game, it's inexcusable. They should have more responsibility. They need to have more accountability, and there needs to be something happening after games when there's so much controversy. The fact that we had 42 fouls in 40 minutes, you averaged more than 1 foul a minute in this game, is absolutely inexcusable. When Tari Eason, the ball has left his hand, and then you call a charge. The ball had left his hand, and then Jalen brings the contact, pushing himself into Tari, and you call that a charge? Are you kidding me? When Xavier Pinson is driving to the lane and has come off of his feet, and he is in the air. He is in the air, and Jalen Williams decides to slide under him. Number one, it's dangerous. Number two, it's not a charge. It is not a charge. It is absolutely inexcusable. And the worst one of them all, J.D. Notae, he walked. He went up, and then he came down, and then the contact was made from Mwani. It's absolutely inexcusable. If that call is made right, the ball is given back to LSU 76-75, and we're running the clock out, or we're getting fouls, shooting free throws to put the game away. Absolutely inexcusable. I'm sick and tired of it. I am sick and tired of it. And I absolutely agree with you, Ant, when you said that Will Wade coached one of his best games. He absolutely did. It was an incredible effort from all of them. It was a fantastic effort from Darius Days, an incredible effort from Tari Eason, and the refs took it away from them. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
If you look at those 3 charges that they took away, points off the board from LSU, and then the 2 free throws they got at the end of the game off the missed travel call, that's an 8-point swing in a 1-point game. You know, like this game obviously shouldn't have even been in doubt with the calls that LSU was robbed, the points that LSU was robbed off those terrible calls. I don't know what's worse,
Absolutely.
you know, SEC officiating or Jimmy Dykes announcing the game. You know, like it's, his homerism for Arkansas it was about as bad as that was officiating, man. But I think we're in a good shape for going into tomorrow, though. So hopefully that's a must-win game for us heading into the tournament. So
you have to win that game. You got to win that game.
You do. It's early. You got to get up and you got to come out strong. The few things that we did wrong in games previous that we made mistakes on, we missed tons of free throws. We missed 1 free throw on Wednesday night.
Yep.
1.
Didn't turn the ball over really either.
We did not turn the ball over a lot. We turned the ball over 10 times in the game. 10 times. There has to be some kind of accountability. I don't know how you're going to organize it. I don't know how you're going to do it. Throw them in a press conference and just say have at it. Let them hear it, man. There's got to be some accountability. Just be like, we called the game the way it is. You know, is what it is. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's inexcusable. You can slow the video down, and you can see JD Notae clearly come up, clearly come down, and after he's come down, the contact is made. That is a complete and utter failure on the referees, and that cost LSU the game. That foul that they called cost LSU the game. Absolutely inexcusable. If I was Will Wade, I would have been tossed. I would have been tossed without question. I don't know how he kept his cool, but I would have been absolutely ejected from that game. I rest my peace. I'm not going to rant anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to come behind
man. We get some of these comments. Some of these comments are pretty funny about Reagan ranting.
The manifesto using that private school education. That is a pretty brilliant thing there. Fenton is shooting 26% last 5 games, 14% from 3 last 5 games. Yeah, I don't understand some of the shots he takes. I don't feel like that's what Will's calling up. I feel like he's just taking the shot. I mean, honestly, he's proven that he's not the shooter, right? I mean, Adam Miller is supposed to be your shooter. And we are short a shooter, no question. The only true shooter maybe on this team is Brandon Murray. Really. Yeah. I mean, you are short a shooter. And I don't know if they're trying to make him a shooter or what they're trying to accomplish, but I really feel like that's not what Will Wade's drawing up. I feel like he's seeing the opportunity and just taking it. And he has been so good and so efficient from moving the ball and moving the offense. I mean, Will Wade pointed it out, right? He said he's made the most sacrifice on this team. He's taking less shots, and he's moving the ball more. And if you look at his averages, he averaged more points at Missouri, but he averaged more assists here at LSU. And that's when we were really successful, when he was moving the ball like that. And that needs to happen more. And if they're trying to turn him into a shooter, they need to go back to what they were doing before. So I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on that, but, I mean, he was efficient when he was moving the ball and dishing it.
Yeah, whenever he's that traditional point guard, well, more of that traditional point guard, facilitate first and just get your buckets, pick your spots to get your buckets. That's whenever this team was at its best. And he's kind of gone to a score first and facilitate second mentality. And I don't know if that's what's best for this offense, considering that we really don't have much of an offense.
Yeah, I mean, you've really been leaning on Tari a lot, and the fact that he fouled out hurt you. I mean, he had 24 points and 7 rebounds. I mean, you've been leaning on him hard. I don't know which one of y'all said that your critique was or maybe y'all just mentioned it, that he didn't call a timeout. And he didn't call a timeout and draw a play up. You had the timeout. You probably should have done it there. I mean, as good as he coached that game, I feel like that's the move you probably should have made there. Let's talk about that just for a brief moment. If he does call a timeout, what do you draw up, Zach?
Well, I mean, I think you're right. The hot hand. Darius Days was having a really good night. You know, we mentioned that, you know, against Arkansas when he's scoring, averaging, I think it was around 15 or something like that. Ben Brennan mentioned in our last show that they win the game, and that streak was broken, obviously, on Wednesday night. So I think you draw something up. If you're going to call a timeout, then you draw something up for Darius Days. You know, Tari Eason was out of the game, so you can't drop a play to give it to your best player. So I think you ride the hot hand with Darius Days. Obviously, with the way Pinson was shooting, you know, driving the lane there. I get what they were trying to do and not calling a timeout. You know, they were trying to get him to drive the lane and force the refs who had been calling fouls all game, right? Force the refs there to make a call. So I understand the decision there to not take a timeout, but if you do take a timeout, maybe the better decision was to take a timeout and draw up a play for Darius Days.
Yeah, I agree. You can get that shot that Pinson got pretty much anytime. You know, you can get that out of a timeout if the play breaks down. So I think you should at least call a timeout there and drop a play and try to get a better shot. And if all else fails, Pinson can do what he did and just make something out of nothing and get to the rim. And, you know, like Zach said, try to make the referees call a whistle. But I just don't like not calling the time out there. I know he's trying to, you know, show that he trusts his guys to do the right thing, but I don't know if having the ball in Pinson's hands at that moment is the best option for the team.
Look, and that's why I say that the Tari Eason thing was so major, because, you know, if you have Tari in, you probably call a timeout and draw the play up. Like, I think Blake tweeted at in during the game many times, like, give Tari Eason the ball and get out the way. I mean, right? He makes a lot happen, and he creates. I mean, shots that it feels like sometimes it isn't there, but it falls, right? And I mean, he's just really an impressive athletic player, and that's why we've seen his draft stock rise this year. I mean, he can drive in the lane and get a bucket. He can come outside and he can shoot every now and then, and his defense is awesome. I just have to say to close this out about Arkansas here for a little bit, that Jalen Williams indeed, like Ant said, deserves an Oscar because that boy flopped so hard. I had Arkansas friends that are Arkansas fans texting me, oh, he draws so many fouls, blah, 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 the most in the SEC. Yeah, we see why, right? I mean, holy cow. Floppy McGee, give that man an Oscar. Goodness gracious. All right, let's take a little break here in between sessions, and let's get to some ads. Don't forget to go check us out at Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Tigers Avenue. You can go check us out at YouTube as well at Tigers Avenue. All of our stream is on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Go like, subscribe, follow all those pages. Don't forget about 5-Star Hero, Tigers Avenue intro and outro music. All of his music, including They Ain't Ready for That LSU, is on all the major platforms. Go check out that song and all of his other music. Go follow him on Instagram at Saints Anthem and on Twitter at One Nation Doty. And go on Facebook. His name is Doty Hero, and you can look at his merchandise there as well. 5-Star Hero.
Guys, we want to encourage you to go and check out our website at tigersavenue.podbean.com. You can find the playlist to our YouTube as well as all of our latest episodes on the front page. If you go to the pages link, you can find 5-Star Heroes merch and all of his beats that are available on Apple Music and Spotify. If you go to our sponsors, you can see all of the sponsors that support Tigers Avenue and check out all of their info. If you check out the Tiger Times page, you can go and see all of our games that we've attended at Alex Box Stadium, Tiger Stadium, and the PMAC through the years. And if you click on the support page, you can go and find the QR codes for our Cash App and our PayPal to support Tigers Avenue. Again, all of this you can find at tigersavenue.podbean.com.
All right, we'll get into our last session here. Ant, again, we do want to appreciate you joining on and hopping on for us. Y'all go follow Ant's Twitter at Petty_Murphy 318. Petty, Petty_Murphy MURPHY 318. Don't forget to follow me and Zach on Twitter as well. Our personal accounts at Zach D. Lee_ and at Reagan Lee _18. Our final segment here. Frank Wilson scandal ? So this week, some news has come out from LSU. I don't know who broke it, honestly. I don't know who reported it. Y'all may know a little more about that than I do. But Miss Wilson, or is it Miss Wilson, right?
Sharon Lewis.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking Frank Wilson. Lewis has claimed that Frank Wilson in the past had sexually assaulted her. And this is not the first time a claim like this has come from Miss Lewis. Give me your thoughts on this issue. And, I mean, how is this going to play out, guys? Ant?
I hate talking about this kind of stuff. I don't want to make it seem like I'm dismissing Sharon Lewis's claims. I just find it strange, the timing of the additional amendment to her original lawsuit. He's been here 2 months now, almost 3 months now, and why didn't this come out then? Why did it come out? Why did it come out 3 months later? And I'm at the point now where, with all the whole Title IX, with the whole USA Today stuff and the way it was reported, and then the way whenever we kind of let the investigation play out, we see that some of the original media reports were wrong and maybe not entirely factual. So I'm kind of just gonna sit back and wait and see how this plays out to see if anything does come of this before I decide to criticize Frank or criticize Sharon Lewis or anything like that. It's a tough situation, and in the society these days, you're kind of seen as guilty until proven innocent. And I think we kind of need to be fair to Frank and kind of let this play out, and kind of still, don't cast judgment on him as being guilty based off this, allegation, and kind of let it play out in the court system.
Yeah, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, my take is similar to Ant's. He mentioned something that I wanted to make a point on. By law, innocent until proven guilty. Obviously, this is going to be investigated. As Ant mentioned, for me, the timing is very questionable. As he mentioned, Frank Wilson has only been at LSU for 2 months, and now these allegations are coming out against him. Seems pretty interesting, the timing for sure. So obviously, with everything that has happened revolving Sharon Lewis, there has been also a lot of things that have been dropped, charges that have been dropped in the Title IX investigation. So to me, honestly, I don't really see much into this. I don't really care to pay too much attention to this. It is something that obviously needs to be paid attention to, but for me, until there's something that evidence that is incriminating, I don't try to blow it up too much. As we've said already, innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah. Y'all feel about it the same way I do. You are innocent indeed till proven guilty, not to be political by any means. But there is a tendency a lot of times in cases like such to look to the victim, right, of the situation, and media a lot of times likes to generate a narrative right off the bat. and it makes you look guilty already. And with this, you can't be sucked into that, right? You've got to let this be investigated. You've got to let this play out the way it needs to be done, the proper way, the legal way. Everything needs to be done properly. And look, by no means, as Ant said, are we dismissing the matter. I mean, this is my own personal opinion, and I don't know. I mean, I don't care honestly how everybody else feels about this, but if truly something like this happened, it needs to be addressed. I mean, if something like this truly happened for real, that's inexcusable, and it doesn't need to happen again, and it needs to be addressed, and action needs to be taken. But there's a process to lead to a just decision on this, a right decision on this. And y'all have hinted on the time a little bit. Y'all have said, both of y'all have said, why is it now when he comes to LSU? My question is, why is it now in general? If this happened to you, why wasn't this happening when Frank was at McNeese State? Why wasn't this happening when it happened? Right? I mean, I don't know, honestly, all the ins and outs of all the stuff that happened under Les Miles, under Ed Orgeron, and I don't try to keep up with that type of stuff, honestly, because it's, I mean, that's the side of things you don't want to talk about, right? But sometimes it needs to be discussed. But the reality of this is, why would this now be announced? Why now? Right when he's left McNeese State, come back to LSU. LSU seems like to be on the up and up. Frank Wilson's name is being mentioned a lot because he's like that key Louisiana guy, right? He is the recruiter. He's going to, not only is he an incredible recruiter, Brian Kelly made the point to say, he's an incredible coach. And to be an incredible recruiter, you have to be an incredible coach. And it's like there's a lot about Frank Wilson. There's a lot of positivity around Frank Wilson. Well, what about this? Why right here, right now, in the midst of this, the timing just seems a little bit off. And Blake Ruffino hinted at this in one of his tweets, or maybe not hinted at it. He said it. The last 3 times this particular lady has made an accusation, it has either been proven wrong, or it's been dropped, or or whatever. It hasn't gone through, right? Like the claim was never found to be true. So the timing, the fact that there's history of this happening and it doesn't work out in her favor, I'm not too worried about it. I don't want to be dismissive, though, because in my own opinion, like I said, if something like this does happen, it needs to be addressed and addressed properly. Let's also look at this from a perspective is we're under a new administration. Now, I understand that Ed Orgeron was dropped from the whole Title IX lawsuit and whatnot, and they dropped his name, yada, yada, yada. But the reality of it is Ed Orgeron was a PR disaster at times. Public relations was not Ed Orgeron's best thing. And when stuff like this happened, you're like, oh, dear Lord, like, just keep your mouth shut, please. Like, don't go out and say anything. Don't do anything stupid. Like, please. And I don't know about y'all, and I'll let y'all give your thoughts on this, but I'm a little bit more at ease now that we have Brian Kelly, and he's going to address this situation correctly and professionally, and it's going to be done the right way, because we saw in the past where these type things probably weren't handled the best. But Brian Kelly seems like the type of guy you never hear out of Notre Dame, oh, this is happening. This and this is happening. This scandal is happening. Well, Brian Kelly did this. Well, look at this picture of Brian Kelly with such and such. Right, like all of that wasn't going on because Brian Kelly is an orderly professional coach. And I'm at ease that this is happening with him at the head. So, Zach, what do you think about, the situation now in this different context?
Well, as you mentioned, and this is really the only thing I'll hit on is you're under a lot better leadership. For sure, the wheels are already in motion with Brian Kelly addressing this. I'm sure he has talked to Frank Wilson. I would assume that. Maybe not, but I would assume he has at least made some sort of contact with Frank Wilson, or Frank Wilson has made some sort of contact with him. I don't want to say that 100% because we don't know. But one of the things, and I mentioned this with Jake Sloan, one of the things that Jake Sloan mentioned in their interviews was that Brian Kelly was a fantastic communicator. And I don't think that just comes down to football. I don't think that just comes down to recruiting. I think that comes down to when he is running the program, and it's a tiresome. Every single aspect of LSU football and running that program, Brian Kelly is going to be a fantastic communicator, and I expect nothing less from him in this situation.
Absolutely. Ant?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that Brian Kelly knows how to run a program, and he knows how to handle bad situations. You don't coach for 30 years and not have a situation come up something similar to this. You know what I mean? Maybe not to this magnitude, or maybe not with a coach, but you've had a situation where you've had to navigate some some questionable waters. So if we had to go through a situation like this, I don't know of a coach that I would rather have to go through this. Maybe a Saban, or but if you putting him up with Saban, then you're in good company. So I think having a professional coach who's going to say the right things, who's going to do the right things, and he's not going to make the situation, he's not going to compound the situation and make it worse. That's the most important thing right now, is somebody who can kind of keep the focus on football, keep it from becoming a distraction, and keep it, from blowing up in our faces and becoming, a mockery, or, becoming bigger than what it needs to be. And I think that not only Brian Kelly, but the other coaches that he's brought in around him are also going to do the same thing. When you look at having former head coaches on the staff, when you look at having, former coordinators at almost every position on the staff, you're going to have guys who are going to, keep it focused on football and keep the main thing, and not let the outside noise, I don't want to call it noise, but, not let anything outside of football get in the way.
Absolutely. But look, Tiger fans, LSU fans, let it play out. Let the investigation happen, and whatever is found, let it be. Let's not throw stones. Let's not, cast mud on somebody immediately. And let's also not be too dismissive immediately as well for the situation. All right. Let's get to some comments here, and then I want to finish on our predictions for the Alabama game, and then we'll wrap it up. We appreciate all y'all listening, supporting. We really do. Yes, Bobby wants you to send your comments in so we can talk to you. We can discuss. We love interacting all the time. Pooh Bear, Brandon Murray can't shoot and pout. He has to choose one. There is a time or two, when Brandon has put shots up and when it's not fallen, you've seen some disappointment. Ant, maybe you can hit on that a little bit.
I think
keep shooting.
I think some of that is he's a young guy. He's a freshman, and he's used to being the man on all his teams. Like, he's a guy when he was at Oak Hill who was putting up 20, 30 points a game, then you come to an offense like this where you have a Pinson, you have a Days, you have a Tari Eason, you might be the fourth option at best. So it's kind of hard for for a guy like that to just come in and just accept being that fourth guy. And there's been times where he's been open, and maybe Days or somebody else took a contested shot whenever he felt like he was open. And so you don't like to see it, but that's one of them things to where you need a Pinson, or you need a you need a Darius Days to kind of pick your head up, and let them know that they need, because he's made some big shots for us also.
Yep.
So I mean, you can't make those big shots for us if you aren't, if you're pouting and you got your head down and you're taking yourself out the game mentally.
No question. Bobby Watts Jr., can you give any predictions to the way tomorrow's game versus Texas will go? Zach, give me your predictions on tomorrow's Texas game.
Man, tomorrow is going to be very tough. Seeing LSU struggle with Oklahoma today worries me a little bit, especially going into such a big game against Texas. I mean, you're playing the number one team in the country. You are in Texas, in Houston. You're coming off a emotional high in beating Oklahoma with the walk-off. I want to pick the Tigers to win, but that's the homerism in me. But I don't know if they can. We've seen Mikael Hilliard. They can beat Texas. Let me rephrase that. Here's Dad. What'd you say, Dad? He said, "Of course they will win." I'm downstairs because the Wi-Fi has been spotty upstairs, but I would love to see the Tigers win. I don't know if they're going to. It's still early in the season. We forget that they still are a really young team. They're still guys that are made up of freshmen and sophomores and redshirt sophomores. They're still a young team, and there's going to be a learning curve with this team, and they're still learning to play together. So you're going to drop some games, and this is a really, really tough game against the best team in the country right now. And so I want to predict this to win, but I think they lose a close one. And then I hope that they can come back for the next game on Sunday and pull that one off and win the series.
Well, I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to be Mr. Positive tonight.
Being positive.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Tigers in a close one, 4-3.
There you go.
I think the momentum that we get from a win like tonight, being down 3-0, fighting your way, clawing your way back, winning in a dramatic walk-off fashion, I think that's gonna kind of propel us to kind of start hot tomorrow. And then this Texas team, they're just now starting their game, so they're gonna have a long night. And so they're gonna be.
Take a point you make, Ant.
They're gonna be kind of fatigued going into tomorrow, to where we're gonna be riding high. We're gonna have a little more rest in them, and so I think those two factors right there are gonna gonna push us over the top in a close one.
Look, guys, I'm still riding off of the fact that Jordan Thompson dropped the bat. Oh, my goodness. Absolutely love it. I think Tigers win in a close one, and I think that Dylan Cruz responds with a great game after a tough game at the plate tonight. I believe he's 1 for 5. I think he's going to have a bigger game tomorrow. Are you serious sports? #AskTA. I like it. Do you put cheese on your honey bun? Who in the world put cheese on a honey bun?
That's Space's talk. That's Space's talk right there.
Do you wash it down with a Yahoo?
That's Twitter Space action right there, man.
All right.
Oh,
Zach,
my goodness.
Who's eating honey buns with cheese? That's what I want to know.
Not I.
I think that was a question that they asked Chris the other night. I can't remember. Blake, you'll have to come in on the comments. I can't remember if Chris said yes or no to that.
It was Chris.
Question.
It was Chris.
It was 100% Chris.
And he said he had one before, but I know people who have had honey
I
buns
don't.
with cheese, but me personally, that's not my choice.
No cheese on my honey bun.
Just give me a regular honey bun with the white icing on the microwave for about 5 seconds.
Oh,
There you go.
Now you're talking.
Now I can get down with a Yahoo. I can get down with a Yahoo.
No, hey, be careful what you're talking about, bro.
Be careful
what you're talking about, bro.
Well, I don't know what that means then, but
Right, you
I'm
gotta
talking
get in
about the
space.
canned chocolate drink. I don't know what y'all talking about, but I'll drink the yellow can. Anyways, Spectrum Internet strikes in Memphis 2. AD taking a little shot at Zach's internet there.
It's not Spectrum. It's Xfinity. It's Xfinity. Chocolate water.
Chocolate water.
We appreciate all y'all commenting, and so we can interact with y'all. We love it. We appreciate y'all coming and listening to the show, and we appreciate you joining us. Let's take one more break, and then we'll wrap the show up. Remember to go follow us on all our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tigers Avenue. You can also go subscribe to our YouTube channel at Tigers Avenue as well. Our live stream is on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We post regularly on our story and Instagram as well. Don't forget, 5-Star Hero, your intro, outro music for Tigers Avenue podcast. They ain't ready for that LSU. Go support him. All of his music is on the major platforms. They ain't ready for that LSU, including the rest of his music. Go follow him on Instagram at Saints Anthem and Twitter at One Nation Dottie. All of his merchandise is on his Facebook page. So don't go and check that out as well. 5-Star Hero.
Guys, we want to encourage you to go and check out our website at tigersavenue.podbean.com. You can find the playlist to our YouTube as well as all of our latest episodes on the front page. If you go to the pages link, you can find 5-Star Hero's merch and all of his beats that are available on Apple Music and Spotify. If you go to our sponsors, you can see all of the sponsors that support Tigers Avenue and check out all of their info. If you check out the Tiger Times page, you can go and see all of our games that we've attended at Alex Box Stadium, Tiger Stadium, and the PMAC through the years. And if you click on the support page, you can go and find the QR codes for our Cash App and our PayPal to support Tigers Avenue. Again, all of this you can find at tigersavenue.podbean.com.
All right, let's wrap it up. Again, we thank y'all for listening and commenting and your continuous support for the Tigers Avenue podcast. We love doing this show, and we really enjoy doing it live. It's been a blast the past few times doing this. Look, guys, it's Friday night, and we had Ant on the show. Friday nights are officially Friends Friday on Tigers Avenue live show. Every Friday night, we're going to have a guest on. We appreciate Ant joining the show to give his commentary on all things LSU. Make sure you go follow him at Petty_Murphy318. That is Petty, Petty_Murphy, Murphy 318. Shout out to the 318. We appreciate you, Ant.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all for having me, man. Can't wait to do it again.
Absolutely, man. We sure will. Make sure you go follow our personal pages as well at Zach D. Lee _ and at Reagan Lee _18. This show, if you were not able to watch it tonight, will be posted on all podcast platforms, wherever you so choose to listen to your podcast. And you can rewind and listen to this all over again. We appreciate you listening, and we will catch you next time on Monday night in the Tigers Avenue. 5-Star Hero, take us out. Peace.
Who that 5-star? Who that 5-star? Who that 5-star? And the LSU Tigers.